Earlier this week, the Kansas City Chiefs traded back for Mecole Hardman. Today, we'll discuss what kind of production he can provide for this offense and as well as what kind of impact he has for this wide receiving core moving forward. Now with that, let's get the chit chat and let's have some fun. Mecole Hardman is back as a Kansas City Chief, and I'm back on the channel. Yeah, I took a short little vacation, but we ain't missing a beat. Today, I will give you guys a 2-for-1 special. Of course, I'm dropping this video, and we still gotta preview the LA Chargers, so that will come out later tonight. So you don't wanna miss out on that. And please be sure to hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any content moving forward on the channel. And did you think I forget? Of course, we are going live as the LA Chargers come into town to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. You guys already know how these games go. It's literally down to the wire type of game between these two, and I don't expect anything different. I got the live stream posted on the channel, so please be sure to hit that bell icon so you don't miss out. And so we can discuss good Kansas City Chief football, and I'm looking forward to seeing each and every one of you there. Now, let's get down to the discussion. And it's that Mecole Hardman earlier in the week was traded back to the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you remember my comments prior to the trade, and the discussions were already swirling in the air and I wanted to bring it to light, was I wouldn't have been a big fan of Mecole Hardman being back as a Kansas City Chiefs. And now this is twofold. And the first reason why I wasn't in particular to having the Kansas City Chiefs bringing back Mecole Hardman was because I feel like he fits in with this wide receiving core in general. And what I mean by that is we discussed throughout this whole offseason is we got a lot of unproven guys who have talent but haven't reached that potential. A la Mecole Hardman is in that same boat where he has all the talent in the world, but he hasn't lived up to the hype, hasn't lived up to that second round pick. Now, he has had good production with this Kansas City Chiefs team. Do not get me wrong. But I think as Chiefs Kingdom in whole, when you see a second round wide receiver pick, Mecole Hardman, Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, you expect huge things coming out. And I know a lot of people when Mecole Hardman was drafted thought he would have been the Tyreek Hill replacement due to all the Tyreek Hill incidents that happened off the field. And then those were dismissed. Tyreek Hill was still a Kansas City Chiefs. And then it kind of jumbled and made things weird to where Mecole Hardman's role, you couldn't really find it. And it seemed like he was a gadget player making those reliable plays. And honestly, in 2022, it looked like he was on pace probably for his best year as a Chief before he had a significant injury. And he got us a little into light on his first press conference back with the Chief on what that injury entailed. And he was literally bedridden for 10 days. And honestly, in my aspect and everyone else's, we don't know any of that. We're basically given the little information. And when you hear groin injury and then you hear the infamous words from the coaching staff day to day, you do not know what that entails. And now that we're a little more deeper into it, Mecole Hardman is a warrior. He literally came back in the AFC Championship with a substantial injury and played his heart out to be there for this team and even try to be there in the Super Bowl. So big kudos to him. We do got a good wide receiver. I think the thing with the Kansas City Chiefs and specifically the Chiefs Kingdom as well is you have a lot of hopes held up high, and I'm not going to try to crush them because that's the last thing I really want to do. Because I do believe Mecole Hardman can be productive in this system. But what I'm seeing floating around social media is a lot of people anticipate Mecole Hardman to do numbers he's never done before in his career. And one, that's not fair to the player in itself. Mecole Hardman has displayed what kind of player he can be in this league. Yes, I would love if he can go out there and be 1,000-yard receivers, have 10 touchdowns, and just go nuts. But is that the type of receiver he's shown to be in the NFL? No. But what he can be and what he can build off is a reliable receiver for Patrick Mahomes, and that can break the top off the offense. The little reason why I was putting pause on that is because We have not now gone a full calendar year where we haven't seen Mecole Hardman make those kind of plays. And it gives me a little hesitancy to see if he will do it again. That's why I was more welcoming to bringing guys like a Marquise Brown, because that's a guy who is still doing it with a quarterback no one even knows of and has been a trustworthy receiver. Now also, I'm a part of the Chiefs Kingdom fan base as well, to where I want each and every wide receiver, and then you get kind of underwhelmed when you bring back a guy who hasn't done much in the last year. But if he's healthy, if he's ready to go, then hopefully he can display something that he did in early 2022, which was he was very efficient in the red zone, which we all saw was a key struggle for the Kansas City Chiefs as they defeated the Denver Broncos. They were moving the ball up and down the field, but they couldn't find a way to punch it in the end zone. Hopefully, Mecole Hardman brings that aspect, because they really do need it. They need to find a way to put 7 instead of 3 on the board. Specifically with the schedule starting to get a little more stronger when you got the Chargers coming into the town, Dolphins in a few weeks, Eagles. It's going to get a little more critical, and the Chiefs offense needs to start clicking. Now, as we focus in on this wide receiving group and home, this is where I was a lot on pause with bringing a guy like Mecole Hardman in, is because there's a lot of inexperience there. There's a lot of guys trying to have room for growth to grow. And I was at the point to be like, let's let that happen. Let's see which guy can step up to the base and excel. Now you bring Mecole Hardman in, he's taking someone's snaps. I don't know who, but he's definitely gonna take someone's snaps. And with the addition of Mecole Hardman, the Kansas City Chiefs did release Montrell Washington, which is a slight bummer in my eyes, because Montrell Washington, ever since he's came in, he's been a solid punt returner. But I really do get it, because at the end of the day, you can bring Mecole Hardman in to do the exact same role, just as good or even better, but also get offensive production out of Mecole Hardman. So that was a no-brainer, and hopefully they can get Washington back onto the practice squad. But it's going to be interesting to see now with this wide receiving core, like I mentioned, whose snaps get cut. Because if you ask Chiefs Kingdom, they fear that Justin Ross will not be able to see the field. And that can be the case even more so with Mecole Hardman coming in. This wide receiving room is a mess. Yes, there's talent across the board, but there's not enough footballs to go around to 7 wide receivers. And it's going to be interesting to see as the weeks go on how the snap counts look. Right now, I am hopeful Rashee Rice continues to improve and be wide receiver number 1. But after that, it's a crapshoot. It really is. And now you add Mecole Hardman to that as well, because you got Kadarius Toney, you got Sky Moore, you got Mecole Hardman, you got Justin Ross. Justin Watson looks like he'll be out. They haven't dignified him on IR yet, so I don't know how significant that injury is. I thought he would have been already put on IR right now, but we'll see how that progresses on forward. And then you got Richie James too, who he's been on IR for the past 3 weeks. I believe this is going to be week 4 now, or going into week 4, so he should be coming off as well. And that was another aspect into all of this, tying it all together, was Kansas City has a lot of receivers that does what Mecole Hardman does, with the Richie James Jr., with the Kadarius Toney, and now you add Mecole Hardman. That's basically 3 wide receivers doing the same. Maybe in all of this, they were just trying to hopefully find someone that Mahomes can have trust, that has red zone success, and can be good for this team moving forward. And I hope that's the case. And I believe if Mecole Hardman is healthy, he will be productive. But Chiefs Kingdom needs to tamper down those expectations, because he's not going to go nuts. He's not going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. He's not going to be a wide receiver number 1. And that's not a bad thing. Just because he's not wide receiver number 1 doesn't mean he can't be productive on this team. Because I can already see it now. Mecole Hardman has 3 catches for 30 yards. And everyone's like, oh, we traded for nothing. But in my eyes, that's good. If he puts 3 catches for 30 yards in his first game, I think that's a sign of really good life and shows Mecole Hardman is healthy and ready to go. But that won't satisfy a lot of Chiefs Kingdom. They want to see 80 yards to 100 yards performance. Like I mentioned, when you have 7 wide receivers, you need to move the ball, and it isn't going to be dependent on one guy. So this is going to be interesting to see how it all shakes and bakes. honestly, just looking at the Chargers game and getting a quick glance, Mecole Hardman will play because I don't know what punt returner or kick returner they have next up in line now with Montreal Washington out the door. So I'm assuming he takes those duties. Now, Dave Tobin, Coach Reed mentioned that they will ease him back into the lineup, which is the famous word for any player they try to get on this team and onto the field. They said the terminology of the playbook has changed and tweaked up a little bit, but for the majority, everything looks the same, and it shouldn't take Mecole Hardman long. I expect him to get a few snaps on, I almost said Saturday, on Sunday against the Chargers, but I don't expect it to be crazy. I expect his output to be on punt returns and kick returns, and hopefully he can make a play. But with that, Chiefs Kingdom, you let me know how you're feeling, and are you welcoming back Mecole Hardman onto this team, or do you think this was a move that should not have been made? With that, I'm going to sign off, but please be sure to subscribe to the channel, as I will keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And with that, y'all take care. Peace.